Welcome back, everyone, to the Slice&Dice podcast. I'm Phil.
And I'm Sam.
And there's no Jono, which is big sad times.
Yep. But he is away in sunny Florida.
Yeah. I've seen some of his reels and stuff. Like, I think he was in the Star Wars area, and he's like, "Look, turn around. There's the Millennium Falcon."
Yeah,
just
that looks
like
pretty cool.
nerd heaven. So yeah, he's in a good place.
Yeah. He needed that holiday. So bless him. Hope he's having the time of his life.
Yeah. So I mean, he's probably having better weather than we are. Like healthier sun. But...
Yeah, probably like the same temperatures without horrifying humidity.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, without Jono, Sam and I decided to do like a smaller podcast this week. It might end up longer, who knows? But we've done something a bit different. We asked for some questions from the community, anything big or small, or people just saying statements and we talk about them, whatever. So Sam and I are just going to sort of chat about a few of those and go from there. But we've had a busy old time at locals recently, as per usual. More newbies on... Apart from the thing we're going to talk about later, we had more newbies on Thursday.
Yeah.
And again, more people who walked into the store and said, "Hey, I've heard about Magic."
Yeah.
And then more. We've got 4 store staff now that play the game? 3? Enough people that play FF that if somebody walks in off the street, there's someone who can go to locals on Thursday. Yeah,
we're on 4 technically. But like in terms of people who have come to locals, it's 4. But there are 2 more staff who dabble.
Yeah, dabble. But yeah, locals has been pretty intense as well, because it's been we've had a couple of our guys who went to Brighton. Bit of a tough evening afternoon for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of London players are in that room, so it's going to be one of the hardest LQs in the world. I reckon, I'd put my money on saying that might be the hardest LQ in the world this entire competitive season.
Because I think...
the Brotherhood have one, don't they?
And Brotherhood have got one, but I think there is one... I don't know. I know that Madge's Market are also doing one, but it's based in a store somewhere, and I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Basingstoke might get one.
Yeah.
We're still, oddly enough, still getting some announced, quite late. But
Yeah. We'd love to see it, though.
But yeah, I agree with you. We can hope that at rugby, maybe they've decided that's not south enough. And
fingers crossed, because we're going there soon.
And it'll be like it'll be Dice Cup LQ Mark 3, and then we've got 3 LQs. Blessed.
Well, you just have to think if you run into a high tier Londoner, you're just gonna have to take the learning opportunity.
So such a polite way, but yeah, for sure. So it's been pretty intense though because of that, and everyone practiced loads for that LQ. Came back. Admittedly, they all struggled with it. It was quite, like you say, tough start to the season for them.
Yeah.
And then we've gone back to in every locals has been just intense practice games of getting matchups in.
Yeah. Weirdly, I guess from my selfish perspective, the Dice Cup and Boards and Swords and those kind of Griffin's gaming, they're Midlands ones where I've never seen a Londoner travel to them. Those might be the ones where I'm the most stressed because I feel it's my highest chance of
and the moment you see a Londoner walk in, your levels go through the roof. So you're feeling pretty. If you can get the spot, you'll be going to Italy. Is it sort of a thing that's on your?
Yes, yeah. I really want to go to Milan, which was announced, which is great news.
Yeah, I unfortunately can't go, which I'm gutted about, but luckily it doesn't matter, whether I can go or not personally. But yeah, Milan being announced is awesome. We of course got the expected reaction of mainland Europe being yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And then 1 or 2 meme replies going from why isn't it in England? Jesus Christ, which is fine. But
you've got to give it to the mainland at some point, right? Surely.
Yeah, I explained it at locals as catch-22 of yes, it can be in England because we've got a really big player base as a island or whatever. But and it might not be as big a turnout in mainland Europe, who knows? But you're just shafting a massive amount of people just for us to have it. And it is expensive to get accommodation here. Yeah,
it wouldn't be fair. I don't know how many years in a row it's been in England, but it wouldn't be fair for us to have it 5 5 years in a row or something. You know?
As well as Winter Cups as well, which, you know, I'm personally more hyped for Winter Cups, and we've already had Winter Cup announced in like March next year. It's
insane.
I wonder if this is like a slow thing that it turns into like the Summer Cup or the Spring Cup or something like that.
Yeah. They just keep pushing it further into the year.
It's going to be weird getting a 2025 playmat in 2026 in March.
Yeah, in 3 months into 2026. That will be odd.
Yeah, so that's going to be good. Yeah, and Milan will look to be... because there's the LCQ as well, which I know people are already eyeing up. I know that quite a few people I've seen people already buying flights, because when I looked from London, it was about 70 quid each way return, which isn't too bad.
East Midlands Airport is where I went to Milan last year. And that was cheap flights. Oh, geez.
I did look at East Mids, but I couldn't see anything. But it might be time of year or something.
Yeah. It was like, I think it was like airport that was like an hour away from Milan.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, because there's 3, isn't there? Because when I went to go and look, and it's just like, which one do you book? So I luckily don't need to do that problem, because I'm getting married, so...
Yeah,
it's just the whole marriage. It's the whole.
You ain't flying away that day.
I tried. The logic was, and I'm sure all gamer people in listening will understand my plight, surely, and not side with my fiance at all. Is like, I saw the dates with a week before my wedding, and I would get back on from the Euros on the Sunday night, but probably Monday, and then I'd literally have to go straight to Scotland or fly back to Scotland, and then I'd be getting married on the Saturday. And I said to my partner, so here's this event. They were like, cool, yeah, it's a week before the wedding, bit wild. They didn't say no, so I just went, so if we get everything planned, and when I fly away, nothing will need sorting. They were like, no, just stop. Damn it.
You had to try.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so
it's technically possible.
That's it, you get me. It's technically possible. Oh my god, I am such a problem. But yeah, so we're getting everything announced, and in really good time as well, is the other thing. We've had it's significant time buffer for Winter Cup next year, but then Milan is November, so that's really good notice. Even though it came out of the blue and people meme, it's good notice regardless. So
there's been a lot of complaints about the timing of the announcements, but at least we know our Winter Cup very far in advance.
Yeah, and I think people have said that from now to November is acceptable. I've not seen anybody go, oh, I just can't because it's too soon. It's just been, I can't because of money. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that in the sun. I do have a bit of anxiety about playing opponents and miscommunication. Imagine being in Top Cut and having a miscommunication makes me scared. But I've had at Euros I've had Italian opponents and stuff, German opponents, and it's never actually been a real issue.
Yeah, I find most FF players tend to be pretty bilingual if they're playing at European level, if they've turned up to an event, So if you which you normally do, you get high enough in a room that you're against a player caliber that they probably are, Not that being bilingual is a trait of a good player, but it's just sort of what I've seen in TCGs.
Yeah, I mean, mainland Europe's a lot better at languages than we are in the UK. Let's be honest.
Yeah, learning German right now, I can literally say I speak English, and everyone's like, yeah, don't insult our language, please, just speak English. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a Winter Cup this year. The last Winter Cup, I think most of my judge calls were French Tidus's because of all the French players that came over, and all of them were running water decks. So having to constantly read that out. But yeah, I guess on that note, it's just for people to know that if you call a judge and someone's using foreign cards, they can provide you with a translation. Essentially, that's what you can always do. So just remember, you are entitled to a translation, and if you're not happy with your opponent providing it or something like that, you can call a judge.
Yeah, and don't chance a play on thinking maybe I know this text. Just call a judge and make sure that you're getting your play right.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely not worth the risk. So
yeah.
I think it'll be good. But I think we've had a bit of a ramble. So let's go into our questions. We've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five people, but 6 questions. And then we've got a mystery segment, and we've got a bit from and I guess the card as well. So we'll see how we go.
Nice.
But do you want to read the first question at the top, Sam?
Yes, and this comes from our co-host who's in Florida, Jono, and he's asked us, What do you think makes a good starter deck? With the 2 new FF7 decks coming soon, what do you want them to do in support of newer players?
I love this question, but it's purely because I hyper focus into the decks that I built.
Yeah,
we had comments that came from Lyndon about backups essentially, and I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
In that, I think starter product, although there are loads of deck types, should focus on the core FFTCG experience that makes the game different to Magic, for example, because the thing that I've learned is that FFTCG tried to improve upon Magic and getting mana screwed and things. So I always like to do that, getting your backups down, curving from one backup to the other, getting to 3 to 5 backups depending on the game type, and then things start to explode. And then after that, it gets to that really tense, attacking with forwards, and suddenly you're at damage 6, and oh shit, I can't attack with my forwards anymore.
Yeah.
Though that's the integral experience. And if you, I don't know, make a starter deck with 50 forwards in it, I'm just great, you've created a new aggro monster that people will win with, but it's not a good starter deck.
Yeah, it doesn't as soon as you jump off to constructed, suddenly all of you have a backup searcher in nearly every deck, and you're so why are they not in these starter decks? And they do need to put the less used cards and teach the standard units and stuff. I don't mind it, but I would say if they put Sarah, 4-drop water backup into a starter deck coming up, it'd be great. Yeah, gets the cards out there. Teaches people about them. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think in general, when it comes to starter decks, though, I think I really like it when the 2 decks are quite balanced against each other, and when you get to you can play them several times and learn the main counters between each. One of the ones I loved a lot that I don't think other people thought was as good was the Golbez versus Cecil starter deck. My first product, actually. Yeah, I really like it because the damage 5 thing matters so much in those decks. Yeah, if you don't learn that, your chances of beating the other deck are so much slimmer. And it had a lot of exclusive cards that added to archetypes that were in the meta, but also had enough staples and classics, all of those summons with damage 5.
Was that the one with the 1 CP Rosa that colour fixes for Cecil? I think.
Was she in a starter deck? I don't think she was.
I don't know why I was thinking that she was, but maybe she wasn't an S rarity.
No, you have Dark Golbez, the 6-drop. You have Light Cecil, and Scar Miglione, I think, was key in that deck.
I feel like I want to look that up, but I might try and look at it whilst we're talking, maybe just because I'm. But that was my first ever product. Apart from what I bought for myself, I think I then bought that so that I tried to play with my partner at home and was just I bought it because it was cheap at Dice and fine.
And I quite like the thematic ones. I remember was it Shadowbringers, the Cat 14 one?
And that was Earth, Grahatia, and Ice Emetselk. I think. And they're still pretty popular. They got a restock last year apparently, and they're actually being sold on eBay at the moment for Midgard Games. I think it is £17 each.
Yeah.
Pretty came a conversation. I don't just randomly track the price of that specific 2-player starter, but yeah.
Sure. I know that you're secretly a market nerd when it comes to cards.
Well, admittedly, they did come out. They were at UK FanFest, the last FF14 FanFest, and they were restocked for that, and FFTCG players went mental because there were none left at that point. I remember I think it was Ant was can you buy me 2 or 3 of them, and then someone else was oh, can you buy me 6? and then to no one's surprise, I was not allowed to buy 6. I think. So, a bit like the damage thing, I think the way I designed my 2 starter decks, and my Monks and my Dragoons, spoken about it too much anyway, is I think a starter product needs to make a player ask questions, and a damage trigger is an example of a good thematic thing where they're what the bloody hell does damage 3 mean? I'm going to ask a question about it. Whoa, my mind now changed about the deck. Crazy. And that's what a good product should do, is work naturally enough that it's easy to play, but then give people questions of what certain things mean, and it adds to it. It's kind of what I tried to do with some of my starter decks, but make people like most of my decks are simple. Like I don't know, monks for example are relatively simple how I build them, but then I put in there like a light Varn just so there was a light card. And then they were like, but what this card's not yellow. Like, well, what do I do with it? And then it makes them ask the question. So I build my decks the easy sort of like mono mechanics, but then putting stuff in for questions just prompts natural learning past the point. You have to have a low entry bar. So I think it's why I put in. So that's why another thing that I would like them to have, but I don't think they will because it's a bit gimmicky, is I put a recent change to my starter decks is like one of every card type at least. So I have like forwards, backups, and then literally in both of my starter decks I've got one monster in each of them. So I've got Trapdoor in Trapdoor in Dragoons and one CP Behemoth in Monks. And then in Monks I've got Light Varn from like Opus 5, which I actually realise is cracked, and somebody played and that I wanted Earth to have a worse light or dark card, and I've given it a better one. And Dragoons has Dark 2 CP Illua for haste, and
nice.
So
thematic.
Yeah, so it's just like I felt like adding those extra things in brings in natural questions, and if you just give them something that's got like the ones that are just all Final Fantasy 7, they're very mono synergy, like they're literally just like Cat 7 synergy and fanboy. It doesn't.
It's very tribal, and like tribal's all well and good, but I think it like it's a play style that feels a bit flat to someone who's a veteran of the game. So
and there's not that much to elevate it, past like, oh yeah, what does Kadaj do? Like Kadaj is crazy, but like you say, the decks themselves are relatively flat. So
I quite like the Cloud Pod one, but like Cloud Pod's a crazy card. We all know it's a crazy card.
Yeah, and I suppose actually, and eating my own words, the newbies we had on Thursday that played those two decks against each other. One, how they somehow created an illegal game state with two Kadages, I will not know.
Then I came over later and there was two clouds, and I was like, you did not crack two things with two different clouds, did you?
We did supervise, we did teach them. So we did teach them, and I sat with them for like an hour teaching them with the normal Fire and Lightning starter decks. But then we agreed they were okay to be left alone and play more advanced things like together and work it out and tap us on the shoulder for questions, which they did, but that was just cursed. They were lovely though. They really enjoyed it. But what they did, what they asked, the good questions they asked, to eat my own words, was on the Fire Zac. When they were like, so it says here, like when a Fire forward enters and when a Category 7 forward enters, does that mean Zac gets 2 triggers? I'm like, first day on the game, like, and you're asking that, fine. So
smart.
I did kind of do that I'm a testament. I taught triggers in a new way, like reading text in a new way that I haven't tried before. So I said, I always do like the features of a card, and I say, let's ignore the words for now. Like, CP, number, job, I do that. And then I said, now let's look at the text box. There's 3 different things you can look for to know whether you need to read a card. I was like, first thing we look for when, literally when, anywhere. If you see a when, it happens straight away. I said, next we're looking for symbols. If it's got symbols on it, then it might be something you can do later. But if you see symbols, please read the card, but worry about it later. If there's not a when and there's no symbols, what is it? And they were literally like, that really helped. So I need to remember that from now on of how to like debunk card text. But
just give it a nice clarifier.
So I guess on the backup, so we've said on the deck, what we want from a starter deck to answer questions is, we want good quality backups, maybe not overloading it too much. We want it to have good questions in it, like as in give it mechanics to give it good questions. I suppose again they have to be thematic because it's a product. Like if you just made a starter deck that was a good deck but wasn't focused around like a game, it'd be a bit of a crap deck. But...
You want to have people enthusing about their favorite Final Fantasy characters at the end of the day, don't you?
Yeah, true. So we're going to go to the polar opposite now with the next questions. We've gone from like a really nice starter friendly topic to possibly the most cursed recent thing we can talk about. So we're going for Ant from our locals. From our locals, but prior from now the Preston Manchester lot. He said, I want to hear about the Yuna Scourge. And fun fact, Sam was like, what? Sam, you were a bit like, what does he mean by that? I was like, what that Yuna do, though? Over the last however many months she's been out. Where do we start with that?
Well, when it was printed, I think people knew it was strong, right? And we've got our local Sean, who's notorious for a 54 deck, so he was obviously straight on that card, and he built some nasty stuff in it, his own flavour of it too.
And to be fair, he was right on the nose with like although in the past people have said all like, oh, Kirim, blah blah blah, 54s, blah blah blah. He was right on the nose with Yuna, like straight away, built a deck around it, and the way he built around it, although other people aren't doing that, his build specifically, they did it with Vikings, and he was right on the nose with how she was used in one way anyway.
Yeah.
So
that was powerful, and then we've got this list coming out of Japan where you just play water wind, and we found that the ruling where the 1 CP Rosa colour fixes Cecil's payment, you can even do that on the card text 2 CP. So you discard 1 card to play Cecil onto the field.
Well, I think we'll go through some of those. We'll clarify some stuff just because it's good to go through these things. So firstly, we'll talk about the 2 CP Yuna from Opus 25. She is a 2 CP light forward, 5,000 power. And she just says dull 2 active forwards. That's not a dull icon, it's just dull 2 active forwards, so she doesn't need haste. Select one of the 3 following actions. Choose 2 forwards, dull them. Choose 1 character, freeze it. Choose 1 summon or auto ability. If your opponent doesn't pay 1, cancel its effects.
Yeah. And it's pretty gross. It creates games that are not classic Final Fantasy TCG. And this list coming out of Japan, it's very consistent at trying to get that checkmate board on you in like 3 or 4 turns, which is kind of grim, like having a deck that tests your removal that quickly.
Yeah, the turn that floats around in some other TCGs that I've seen is a floodgate. Essentially, like basically putting up a barrier that once that's down, you can't do a certain mechanic. Like Sid Randell would be a floodgate, for example. I suppose with her, her versatility is that once she comes down, you can't attack with 2 forwards, for example, or your thing you need to tap with, you can't because you can, but she forces that interaction.
Especially the tax thing she does that can, you can sit there, play backups, and say you've got 2 backups and they've got 4 forwards. This would be a very typical board. And you're like, okay, I can make my play out of my hand, but I need to keep both these backups up to efficiently pay for the tax that they're probably going to try and put on me.
Yeah, because your opponent does typical good thing, and you go Amat, and you've got like exactly the amount to pay for Amat, and you've never seen Yuna before, and they tap 2 forwards in response and say pay an extra 1 for the Amat, or it doesn't work. Like it's such a.
So not even the fact that this is a savage test of your deck's removal, even with perfect play on both sides, it will also just stomp newbies. Like it'll just, if you can't think ahead and plan ahead against this deck, it's just going to kick the shit out of you. Like, to put it harshly,
Yeah, and like I struggled against it when I've had better games, and then the things that start to undo me is where I might be, I don't know, controlling the amount of forwards that they've got a bit nicely, but then in one turn where I don't force them to use all the forwards they've got left over for dulling, they'll go, at the end of your turn, dull 2 forwards, freeze that backup, like freeze my colour fixer. And the fact it can freeze backups is just bonkers, because you then casting a backup is casting off of a backup like a summon or something is a problem.
4-wall decks hate it. You just you'll be very lucky if you ever cast a 4-wall off your backups against that deck, like Light Yuna deck. Like the Light Yuna player's done something very wrong if you manage that.
Yeah,
you can't aim for that. Your game plan has to, and it's tough on the Light 4-wall deck because everything's character speed and Light Yuna doesn't swing into you until they've already functionally won the game.
Yes.
So it's quite a good deck against 4-walls, although we've still seen 4-wall won that standard championship in Japan. So
and it was a relatively standard list, just with, I say new, the more old school Opus 19 stuff package coming back out. But then we spoke about Yuna and what she is, and then like Sam said a minute ago, the sort of new category 4 deck that's coming out of Japan. I don't know where that came from, Japan, but a lot of it's bursted since then, is when we then add 5 CP Wind Cecil onto this. So as well as this tax thing, 5 CP Wind Cecil says, if you dare try to choose Yuna to kill her, pay 2, please. And the problem with Cat 4 for me is that it has the classic Yuna deck trope of forward reactivation with Hooded Man, Wind Hooded Man, which is crazy. And the fact that Cat 4 can fart out with the Wind Cecil so fast is crazy.
It's very the Cat 4 build, incredibly linear, and it will checkmate your deck in a handful of turns, which is really grim to play against. And I do think that means that like there will be discussions about restriction on Light Yuna, because it's such a anti-gameplay style to, a lot of people will see it that way. And I kind of see it that way. I don't want my game to be over in a small amount of turns, personally. But I mean, I guess I'm always biased. I'm a control-ish player. So.
Well, it's like we said in the starter deck thing as well. It's that traditional FF experience, and aggro does exist on the spectrum of like competitive FF, but we all crave the traditional experience because we started from a place of fun when we learn. So when sometimes you're 6 years into the game or whatever, and then you get turn 1 by aggro or turn 3 controlled out of not playing, you're like, oh, I wish I could just play samurais and cadets. Sorry, Mike. but yeah.
Yep.
But then I looked up so we can sort of clarify for people. 1 CP Rosa, so she's from Opus 20, so you're more than right. She was not in that starter product. Like, what copium am I on? But she says the cost required to cast, keyword cast, your category 4 forwards can be paid with CP of any element. That's what we care about. Although she does also have when Cecil enters your field, draw 1 card.
Which that draw's actually huge. And I was playing the Yuna deck because I sleeved it up with a couple of proxies. For competitive reasons, and like you can play your Cecil and then wait a turn, and so you get the draws both turns. Because it's very unlikely your opponent, like you probably do Rosa Cecil on your second turn. If you get a good draw,
exactly.
So like you can wait for the win Cecil for a turn.
But then the cast on the text on the Cecil we're talking about, so Opus 20 Earth Cecil, 5 CP card normally. But I think just because people see like symbols, to use my starter analogy, symbols in the text in the effect text area, they don't think it could work with like cast cost replacement.
Exactly.
But then when you read it, it says you can pay 1 earth, 1 water in brackets instead of paying the CP cost to cast Cecil. So cast it kicks again. You literally read the card. It explains the card. It just seems too good to be true.
But it's happening. Yeah, I'm also really surprised that people haven't been abusing that Rosa with that Cecil more in the past.
Yeah,
like I've not seen people really leaning into that.
I suppose the previous deck we had with the Cecil package in was just the like Opus 19 4-wall package, and and the Rose.
Well, I used to play an Earth Water deck with it, and I used to always go get my Earth and Water CP.
I used the free action Rosa in that deck, and I think that was what was more popular because she allowed
the untapping, that you can get kills off,
and the 1k buff, and the 1k buff as well. When you actually get off enough removal to kill Wind Cecil, you just 1k buff it, so it's always out of range. So I can understand, but so it's. I think though, I guess going to we've discussed the Yuna Scourge in general of like that's what she's done. She's been slotted into decks at random as well. That's how the like. I don't want to say it's worse, but that's the final icing on the cake. Is she's not deck specific? Like
it's too. I completely agree. I think you made a very good point there. She's far too ubiquitous. Like any flood deck now has to play her, otherwise it's inefficient.
Well, I've seen her.
Which again is like a deck building. Like maybe not the healthiest for the meta,
I mean, like I've seen her in a couple of Turks decks because naturally with new Reno, she's like she synergizes in lists that have done well at events that I've kept an eye on because I've been pretty good at studying the events this Opus for some reason. She has been seen in Mono Earth at 1 or at 2, just like randomly, not consistently, but she works at 1 because you're not attacking too much in Mono Earth early games. You can afford to dull your stuff to control the board out.
I can't. I would hate to do that personally, but that's a personal preference.
No, same. Earth, you can't. You can afford a brick, but why would you put a brick in Earth?
My brain says win more, but this. Some of these lists have won events, so I'm not going to be too ego-y about it.
Yeah, I was afraid not to yuck someone else's yum.
Exactly.
And then I've seen her in Knights builds as well, so she's been in a handful of Knights.
A lot of sense in Knights.
Yeah, which is just it's just kind of like God.
Killed my Ramsar, I still got loads of interaction because now I've got this unit.
Yeah. So it's just a card like that sees playing any deck is a little bit too much, but I'm not in the ban her category because she does create untraditional games, a bit like you said, and I find sometimes an untraditional game very thought-provoking.
Yeah, and I would say, my first few games against Unidex, I was like, oh, this is like a little puzzle, this is interesting. But I think once it gets linear enough that everyone's playing it ideal and you just get locked out of a game where like, well, I didn't draw enough removal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it will not be a very feels good moment.
Yeah, exactly.
We've not had a legend banned, so
No.
Can't, because Sophie was restricted, right?
Oh yeah, and technically Chaos was restricted as well. It's so yeah, we've
still not seen a Legend ban. So, but I think restricting Yuna's a good compromise, because like if you can kill that one and remove it from the game, then it's pretty good.
And if she was restricted to 1 or 2, you'd play 1.
Yeah.
The pure Yuna decks like Vikings and other things would either have to play more materia to compensate, which, like you say, you kill the Yuna, the deck's dead. Yeah. So it kills that deck type, but it still allows the tech slot play, which is less common anyway. So she'll probably get restricted again, I suppose. That's what I was thinking about whilst we were talking, was like, you know, when I joined the game in Opus 19, like there was like 2-3 bans, something like that. You know, like really, and we've had this restriction with Chaos now, and I hope we don't. In a way, I hope we don't get a Yuna restriction too quickly, because then that's 2 restrictions that are brand new cards. Like, and I worry that the game designers are like missing the mark a few times too quickly in succession, and need to, you know. And I'd almost not want to see that, just, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I still, like, you know, having had that discussion and all that, I still think big credit to the design team. Like, it's very, I think a lot of people underestimate how hard it is to balance a TCG with like thousands of moving parts, you know.
Yeah. Jeez, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
But I think we've like sufficiently discussed the Yuna Scourge, so I know Ant will be really happy about that. He won't care about any pain inflicted, because he's just that kind of gremlin.
Yeah. So like, if you've not tested against it and you want to do, and you're serious about competing this season, I would definitely make yourself aware of it.
I'd probably like, and it's a really easy thing to test against as well, because you can even like put out against you on the other side of a table like 1 copy of Yuna, and then put out any multiple of 2 forwards, and then just be like, what's my best board, and how could I even build it when there's those many 2-drop forwards on the board? It's a very easy thing to test against.
Yeah.
And you have to account for reactivation, because they might dull all of their forwards and you think they've got no more ways to tax you, and then they back attack Miwa from hand and reactivate, you know.
That's, I think as well, like, that's often what wins the game, is people don't expect the Miwa, but like you're going to have it more often than not. Like, you've got to be like, I do think there's several ways to beat the Yuna deck, and I would say you're either in Earth and you have board wipes, and it's quite easy to sort of calculate. Like, I'm loving 5-drop Heck, which I haven't seen in any other people using, but I'm really enjoying it to mop up Yuna decks. But you've got to calculate your tax on top of. They are going to tax that board wipe.
It's like you said, you have to sort of like tiptoe gently getting resources out, so that now and then you can pay the 1 without having to discard hand, because that's worse, discarding the 2. So that's what I did when I first played Warriors into it. Was just that getting backups out slowly whilst tempo removing. I think
Axstar's pretty nice against it. But Lightning as well. Just having access to Cloud, which is a virtual 2 CP card, you know, to like kill, just like, and obviously Ixion. There's a million good Lightning cards against that deck. But it's funny because people have been saying, "Oh yeah, Firewater Monsters. That's surely one of the best decks to beat Yuna." But I'm still scared of Yuna deck on my Firewater Monsters. Like,
I think it's the general thing of like, but you've got removal, right? And it's like, but removal comes at a price to your own deck, right? You have to play, if you either play too much removal in your deck, or proactively remove too hard, you never build any game state. You never build any board yourself.
You don't want to. You got to keep in mind, in a monster deck, it's play Realm, get the monsters, and play Witch. Now I can start killing things. That's a couple of hurdles to jump through.
And like Yuna decks traditionally that are like not tech slotting it, although they're mostly forward based, they play forwards that churn through forwards quickly. You know, like they look at the top 4 on average, and then they mostly will put them to the bottom of deck and whatever. But because it doesn't search, it's not shuffling the ones that you've not had back into deck. Therefore, you're constantly actually going through your deck as if you were discarding. Kind of.
I mean, the Cat 4 list from Japan has a lot of search.
Yeah, like the Cat 4 one is more traditional and does search, but if you go with like a Vikings list, for example, Vikings is very much look at, put them at the bottom of decks. You're actually going through your deck and recycling it.
Yeah. Especially, if you could go, is it Chime?
Yeah, 2CP Chime.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Lightning Chime, it's quite cute actually.
Chime and Reeve will be Quite good in a Unit deck. But I guess all backups. Don't play a backup.
We should give this to Lyndon. Lyndon will hear this. Lyndon, make a Lightning deck for Yuna, please. That'd be funny. But yeah, no, 2CP Chime's pretty good. I got a full art of her playset because I thought she was really neat to play in like commons and rares. She was pretty nice.
I like that card.
Yeah.
Like 2-drop decks.
Yeah.
I guess I like them more before Yuna was printed.
Yeah. Shall we move on from the Uniskirt?
Yes,
I feel like we've burnt people's ears enough. The next topic might be a bit shorter, but to be fair, Alfie was very relevant as to why it would be shorter. But Mike says from Facebook, sorry, we didn't alternate actually. Do you want to do this one?
No, you go ahead.
Cool.
You go ahead.
I like reading, I guess. We need a serious discussion about Lyndon's Judge Tower deck.
Yes.
I mean, if Mike's probably got some trauma, I suppose. But firstly,
I did watch Alfie and Mike play, and it's quite funny just seeing someone that says forward.
Like, imagine like a football match. Basically, to explain Judge Tower, and imagine a football match with like a stadium full of football lads that are really laddie and shout, and instead of there being a referee, like the crowd is allowed to shout ref. And like be the ref, and everyone's like ref, offside. Judge Tower is that, but you're playing with a deck and you have to shark the living hell out of your opponent and be like, Judge.
You've got a much more violent vision of this game than I do.
Only because of like our locals that play it and like the banter we have in the room. But no, it is quite a fun format that I admittedly have never played and have always wanted to, and I feel bad that like Lyndon has been going, let's play it, and I'm one of the only people at locals that has like proactively said I'm not in the mood. But
I've done that as well because like when I'm going to locals, I'm so like I want to play my deck, like I struggle to go dip into something else. But yes, to chime in, call back. The first sort of Judge Tower decks that were built for FF, because this is a concept from Magic, I believe, are on the Crystallarium.
Okay. Crystallarium. Yes.
Yeah. And that's like a nice group of like sort of FFTCG veterans and judges and stuff. So like I really shout out to them. Those articles are brilliant, and I think they don't get enough credit. Oh yeah, because they're the Crystarium are the people that do the how to win Opus whatever pre-release. They like look at an Opus pre-release, and if your pre-release is late enough, you can read the digest and like be armed of how to win your pre-release. Yeah. All of their articles are very nicely informed. Like if you're an intermediate level player or even a beginner wanting to like get in the mindset of like more advanced sort of thoughts towards the game, I recommend that website. Very, very good. But yeah. So their Judge Tower is a very specific build, whereas I think Lyndon started his as like a bit of a pauper Judge Tower. Yes, because he wanted to use his cards and couldn't source the official list and stuff. Yeah. Well, the official list from Crystarium. Yeah. So yeah, I've not actually played. I've watched a bit of gameplay, and I feel like I've observed it, and it does look really fun. Like I've seen people laughing their heads off, and it's like pedant warfare, you know? Yeah. It's like the more specific about rules and pedantry you are, the better. So I feel like it really like if you've got a particular kind of neurodiverse brain, you could be a real legend, you know, like I'm technically correct, the best kind of correct, you know. My heart rate, it would just be through the roof. That's the kind of person I see, like, really doing well at Judge Tower. I'm not quite there. I'm more of a functional rules guy, not a specific rules guy, you know. But the general playstyle of Judge Tower, from what I remember and what I've seen, is that, so for example, it's one deck that you share between you and your opponent. And generally, the rule of thumb is regardless of how many cards you have in hand and stuff like that, you have to play every card you are able to on your turn. Yeah, you have to do everything. Yeah, including actions and everything. And you're obviously trying to play the game within the rules and the setting of Judge Tower, but you have to play the game as normally as you can, and every card and action has to be used. And if you fail to do anything correctly,
you lose immediately. I think is it. I think it is.
Yeah.
If you lose immediately, you
get like knocked out the game or whatever.
Yeah. So it can be.
You've got infinite mana as well, or infinite. Sorry, CP.
Yeah. How dare you swear?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So like, yeah, you can do some pretty silly things, and it's funny watching people like having to tap and do these like Opus 3 abilities that would never see play.
And I can imagine as well that like you have, I don't know, you've got like 4 things that you can do, plus whatever in your hand, and you play, I don't know, you cast a card first, and then realise the thing that then you have to do because you've got like an action ability in your field. You have to blow up your own forward you just played, or something stupid, or create.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Like paying attention to what things can target what things and stuff. It looks fun.
Yeah. So
and like credit to Lyndon, he's always there finding some fun thing to do, isn't he?
So it's definitely and this relates to a question maybe we'll go on to. We are going on to after this. It's a fun casual thing you could develop for something that's just on the side funny that you do that's not your locals. So search for Crystarium. When I will try and put the link if I remember. If not, and you've got this far, prompt me in the comments because I'm editing this episode, so I can do that. And if we do, maybe we can get Lyndon's list as well. That'd be quite nice to do. Yeah. Now, do we want to go on to the next question, or should we break it up a bit with? We've got our other things. We've got guess the card, and we also have our other segment to do. Wondering if we break things up, or do we want to go straight through to the last question?
I'll happily break things up.
Okay, should we break things up? Shall we do the guess? We'll do the guess the card. I think we'll finish with our nice segment. I think.
Yeah.
So we'll do the guess the card, and then we'll do the final question.
Nice.
So
you've got the card, have you?
Yeah. So this is not my guess. This is from It's from Sparky or Marcus, however you know him from our locals. Because it's just me and Sam, and admittedly, I have a memory like a sieve. I couldn't remember whose turn it was, and Sparky was really keen with a certain card, and he has sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, like you know. So, and this isn't a hint. It isn't a hint because like it's not specific enough, but they were like, nobody ever played this card ever, and I'm like, in the last 12 months this card has resolved its text against me, and they were like, what the fuck? So but yeah, so we've got this guess the card. Let's go. Go for it.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to mark down how many guesses I've had?
Yeah, I've got to put my phone down, but if I put my phone down you're going to like see something. So I'm like,
just close my eyes.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, go for it. Just go for it.
All right. Is it between Opus, like including and between Opus 1 and 12?
No.
Okay. Is it so?
Oh. So it's not from one. It's not from 1 to 12.
Yeah. Is it between 13 and 17?
Yes. So it is between 13 and 17. 4 opuses it's between. Pretty tight window.
Is it in 13, 14 or 15?
Yes, it is between 13 and 15.
Is it in 13 and 14?
Yes, it is in 13 and 14.
Is it in Opus 13?
It's in Opus 13, correct.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sparky is cackling.
How many did I get through there?
That's 5 questions you've used, and we're doing 20, aren't we? Yeah. So.
Right. Opus 13. Let me think. Was that the one with lightning on the front? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it would make sense. So you've got a lot of multis in there.
Yeah.
Is it a forward or a backup?
Yes, it is a forward or a backup.
Is it a backup?
It's not.
All right, so it's forward.
It's a forward from Opus 13.
Is it between 1 and 3 CP?
It is not between 1 and 3 CP.
Yeah, including 1 and 3, obviously.
Yep, so it's got to be 4 above. Just fill in a lot
of... Is it 4 CP forward?
It is a 4 CP forward. That's 4 questions. That's 9 questions you've used now.
Okay.
4 CP forward from Opus 13.
Oh my gosh. My brain's just like, Gudon. I don't even know if he's from 13.
I don't even... Is he 4 or 5?
He's 4.
Oh, he is 4, yeah. Wind and trigger card, yeah.
Oh, it could be Gawain. No, that wouldn't be it.
I'm not going to count that as a guess.
I wasn't guessing. Yeah, I do think what you said earlier is a little bit of a clue because doesn't see a lot of play in the meta.
Fair enough. I mean, I think it's okay given how vague this is.
Yeah. What else can I ask now? I guess we can ask power, but I don't know if my memory of Opus 13 cards is good enough for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, is it a multi-element card?
It is not a multi-element card.
Damn, 4-drop from Opus 13.
Yeah.
Is it a common or rare?
No, it is not a common or a rare.
So it's a hero or a legend. Unless it's a starter.
I was going to say, you've got other options but hero and legend. But yes, it's not a common or a rare.
Is it a legend?
It is not a legend.
How many questions have I used?
You have used 12 questions.
12.
And you know that it is not a common, rare, or legend.
Yeah, it's a hero or a starter.
Correct.
4-drop. I feel like it's more likely to be a hero, but that's not a question.
Okay.
Is it fire, wind, water, or dark?
No, it's not fire, wind, water, or dark.
So it's lightning, ice,
Earth?
or earth.
Yeah. I had to think for a second there.
Is it ice or earth?
No, it is not ice or earth.
So is it a lightning card?
It's not a lightning card.
It's light.
It's a light card.
It's a light card.
It is a 4 CP light forward that is either a hero or a starter. You've used 15 questions.
All right, well, I should be able to dink it now if my FF knowledge is any good. 4-drop light card. Oh my god, Opus 13. Jesus. This is funny because I'm actually thinking of some of the cards we've talked about in starter decks now.
Sparky's either...
Is it a starter card?
It is a starter card. Opus 13 starter light. 4 CP forward.
Oh my god.
Sparky's...
Is this... How many questions have I used?
You have used 16.
Okay, I've got a few in the bank.
Yeah, you've got...
Is it innocence?
It is innocence.
Let's go.
Yeah, got it in 17 questions. It is innocent. I do all over Innocence's face. But yeah.
I mean, that sounds weird out of context, Phil.
But yeah, that resolved. So I swear that the innocence is in the cube. Because Carolina, or Carolina resolved it against me, and Carolina must have made a deck of some description because Carolina and I were having a game, and she resolved innocence.
Are you sure you weren't on starter decks?
I think I said like drugs then. Great.
Phil, did you get your crack pipe out again?
Was I high and decided to play Final Fantasy TCG? Oh yeah.
It could have been starter decks, I guess.
Maybe, but it was definitely. The only places I've played against Carolina have been like once at Dice, which I don't think I've played against Carolina at Dice, and then yours. Yeah. So it's somehow at yours when she's played.
I feel like you might have got Innocence mixed up with a different card.
No, because it was the fire in ICP and having Innocence in break. So it couldn't have been put a cube because it's one-off. Yeah. So she had to have her own deck on there. A starter deck or her own deck or a product she'd bought. But yeah, I played against Carolina with it. So her realising she needed to bin Innocence. So again, she was asking a question about the deck and she was like, oh, I can discard Innocence this way. Crazy. Now I've got one in breaks. I'm like, if she gets CP open, I'm actually going to like...
The stress at successful Binnocence.
Yes. Oh, that was a good one there. Got that.
Yeah. Nice pick, Sparky.
Good pick from Sparky.
Yeah, because you created enough tension, but it's quite a memorable card, so I did it.
And with only the two of us, we were like, I definitely have to ask the questions. Have the card because I won't have the card knowledge.
I think I'd have got that in the same amount of questions, or maybe I'd have had to ask one more without your clue.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I did end up asking the starter or hero thing to confirm.
Yeah, you did.
Because I did think of Innocence before I'd asked that.
Fair.
Yeah, but yeah,
it's all good. Well, we've got that done. So we've got our last question and then our nice segment to finish on. So our last question is from Matthew on Facebook. We won't do last names just for the sake of that.
Yep.
But Matthew on Facebook has asked us... well, actually, before we do his question, because I'll get distracted and ADHD sidetracking... Matthew listens to the podcast quite a bit, from what we understand.
Hello, Matthew.
So hi, chap. Thanks for your support, as always. Little cute story for us we've really enjoyed recently is that, and Matthew will enjoy that we know this now, is that I met Matthew at the last Winter Cup, brought his son along. His son made some pretty big waves playing Knights and giving a couple of good players a really hard time.
Nice will get you.
Yeah.
And credit to the young man.
And Matthew's his dad, or Matt. I think I'm going to say Matt now because I don't like using full names. But and then when the guys we were speaking about recently went to Brighton, they were like, someone was playing a mill deck. Someone was playing McNulty's list.
And our fault, apparently.
It's our fault. So McNulty messaged me saying, did I go to Brighton? I don't think I told you this bit. I told you parts of this bit. And I was like, no, I didn't go to Brighton. They were like, oh, well, apparently some like nice person wearing glasses that's involved in the podcast somehow, and he misheard that bit or something like that. So I thought maybe it was you, and I was like, oh no, this is what they said. Someone from... Yeah, basically Nate was involved somehow. They confused me for Nate, but then they said, "Oh yeah, this person listens to the podcast," and it was the dad from Winter Cup is what I heard back from McNulty, I think. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh right, so that guy listened," and they got it from the podcast basically. Yeah. So Matthew got the idea from the podcast when he listened to McNulty's episode. So we're responsible for causing deck outs and buy a mill somehow at Brighton,
which caused Nate to lose, right?
Yeah. So
sorry, Nate. Sorry.
Like sorry, Nate, but also amazing that Matt got the inspiration from podcast. So it's just moments like that make it worth doing, you know.
Yeah.
So
that honestly, that viable mill deck is one of the reasons I'm scared to play Earth Water monsters instead of Fire Wind Fire Water, because you need haste against those mill decks. You need it. Yeah,
and otherwise you just draw yourself out whilst they're drawing you out, which is great.
Yeah.
But Matthew had a really good question. Matt had a good question, which is, has anyone found a good deck box to hold triple-sleeved decks and an LB deck? Now, we spoke about this one beforehand, and it's nice that you want to play with protection. Yes, that was said that way. A lot, though. But my 2 cents, I asked around from this, because I think you said, Sam, like, not sure, I think, kind of,
I don't know,
basically.
Even though I work in a TCG shop, essentially.
Yeah, but, so, I use the Final Fantasy triple deck boxes. They're obviously not really publicly available, like, you have to find them second hand or, like, unopened and stuff. But for reference, they can fit in a triple sleeve main deck, but you would not be able to put in an LB deck of the same sleeving.
Yeah, in the same slot.
Yeah, what I've heard from some people, so I was speaking to Stevie from YYT, said that they do use their triple deck box, but they can only put 2 decks in for that. So they'll basically like split their deck and their LB somehow across the 3 compartments.
You put your 2 LB decks in the middle or something.
Yeah, something like that. But it's still my note was on this is that I inferring that you put your LB deck and your main deck in the same triple sleeves, as long as you're happy with that, fine. But my advice is have your LB deck or your main deck in one less layer of sleeve, so that they're physically different sizes, because it makes them even more difficult to get shuffled into your main deck.
Yeah.
Plus, that's what I do for my triple box. My triple compartment box I have is that my main deck is double sleeved with a normal sleeve and an outer, so essentially a triple, because the inner sleeves don't hold very much thickness. Mm-hmm. And then my LB deck is inner sleeved and normal sleeved.
Yeah.
So that does fit when you squeeze the air out of your sleeves, because I hate having the fact you have to squeeze air out of a sleeve is like so stupid. But a good recommendation that I had from someone who said it does fit, just from brand, is GameGenic. So GameGenic apparently do some chonky boxes, and they're they're actually a pretty cheap brand. Mm-hmm. So take a look at some of the GameGenic stuff. I know they have like an XL range. Also, I know the model, the name of the box, but not the brand. Sidewinders, like the ones that like open and fold out. Is it Ultra Pro or is it? It's not Dragon Shield.
It's probably Ultra.
I think it's Ultra, but apparently Sidewinders are also pretty good at fitting in triple sleeved cards, whether it can hold a triple sleeved LB deck as well. But try your GameGenic and try your Ultra Pro Sidewinders. But if you're finding it being a problem, I would consider not triple sleeving your LB deck, and then there'll be more things that it will fit in, and you'll be fine. But Matthew asked the second question, which we can both definitely get onto, which is, what are the best alternative formats to support a game group that have a mix of casual and competitive games? Like
long-time listeners will know I have plenty of yapping for this question.
Yeah, I was going to say, I yapped for the last one, so you can from this, because I can just feel from here like the the micro obsession door about to explode, So go for it.
Well, this one's like a project. If you want a fun project and you want to support a range of skilled players, and casuals, I just love a cube draft. Oh my goodness. Tailoring your own pool of cards to create a draft environment that you want is such a satisfying process. And honestly, I've had drafts in my house, and it's such a nice communal experience too. Everyone has fun. And it's really even playing field. The last one I ran, a relative newbie won it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's very naturally talented at TCG.
And that's Carolina again.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
Crazy.
It's nice as well because mostly TCGs take place in stores, because that's where we meet each other for the first time and just where they are. And being able to do a draft or a cube is really, you can do it in a pub, you can do it at home. You can technically hold your locals in a pub, but the price where would you get price support from? So it's nice that drafting and cubing is so casual, and it's so much more chill as well, because normally when we go to yours, we all bring a snack, we do our potluck kind of, and that it's just so much nicer and more affordable as well.
Exactly.
And you need ways to enjoy the game, which I guess is what this question is saying. You need ways to enjoy the game that aren't, I don't know, constructed and sweaty. There needs to be. You need to be able to lose with no stakes.
You don't want to just turn up to locals week in, week out, and that the very competitive players always win, and that's a hard battle. You want to mix things up as well. The good thing about trying different formats is those competitive players. You'll find their ability in a draft is varying wildly. And a lot of them are just they're just not as good at things. They don't practice that. That's just natural human things. But and if you don't have the time and energy to do a custom cube, very understandable, most people don't. You can try and look for boxes that are cheap online and do a draft of an old set. I've scooped up booster boxes for as low as a tenner, Opus 7. I don't know if you can still find them. I think you can still go to £30 for some old sets.
Yeah, and there's Opus 5, Opus 7. Basically anything below Opus 10 seems to be draftable, and there's the odd teen Opus, normally the lower teens.
And also other formats. And, in Knots we love Commons Only.
Yeah, Commons Only is great.
A really good format, a real, you get to think about a meta and see how to crack it and look at the strong decks. We've even got tournaments on FFX, so you can study that, so you can kind of have a simulation of a very competitive experience without it being the same old standard. And you get lesser used cards, get to see the light, and it's very interesting, very fun. And then you've got Rare Only, which we tried at last Winter Cup, right?
Yeah, and it was okay.
Oh no, what was it? No, it was at Cactomania, wasn't it?
Cactomania was Rares, and I liked Rares just because,
it's very powerful.
Because it's super powerful. I just like Rares because obviously we'd been doing Commons a lot, and people were going, oh, we did it, let's do it again. And I like that the Cactuars broke out of the mold and said, let's make another format. Why not? But it was almost because of the icon and dominant packages. It was just mini full power meta because of that that uninteractable step of speed. But
I remember I've still got good memories of Steve D on an Icewind deck that looked like insane storm vibes.
Yeah.
Was it Icewind?
It was Icewind. I think it was Icewind.
And it was Chilinka, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. Crazy stuff. But we've got a little note on Commons. Sorry, they had we had the Legacy set with reprinting and recalibrating of rarities of some cards. So Commons is actually kind of in two. There's two wings of thought in Commons right now, because some people say you shouldn't use the changed rarity
because like Kadaj is now a common,
and then other people are like, oh, let's try it with these cards in, and I still don't know where I stand on that. I know the Cactars of like McAvoy has said, he's firmly in the don't use the reprint.
That's it, yeah.
Downgrades, which is fair play. At least he's taken a stance.
It creates two separate formats within itself. Whether it's right or wrong, you've now. Although, like, really, there's not enough people or enough events for variety of format to matter.
Yeah.
At least there's options. Like so.
And then we've got Pauper, which is a more established standard other format, and then Title, which I haven't played for years. I've
never played Title.
I think people keep looking at Title and going, the meta. You just kind of assume the meta will be broken, and like one of the things is going to be degenerate.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a lot of fun. Like if you just want to have fun with a small group, where you all know that you're just going to try silly stuff, then like 100% try it out. I tried it back in like Opus 5. And I had a really fun FF12 deck. I was trying to do Gabranth Zodiac on people. And that was so fun. That was one of my first ever tournaments. So
yeah. And then I guess because you've kind of bridged into like official formats, because Title is technically officially supported, I think.
Yeah.
And then you've got, although I wouldn't say that depending on your locals and stuff, I don't think we could get away with doing Title, for example, with like our learn to players and our growing players. Because then there's L3 and L6, which again, I don't really think you could do them with growing players, really. Unless,
you can, but like it's just alternative standard, isn't it?
And you have to sort of grow your community around it and drive it and have the resource that you have to have. If it's L6, you've got to have that product in and make sure everyone has it.
Yeah.
That's what I like about, Pauper. I like Draft because, to clarify, if people don't know, Draft being where you basically buy boosters, crack a booster. Everyone at the table cracks a booster. You choose out of the card you get from the booster one card and then pass the pile to the next person. You keep doing that until you run out of cards. And I think everyone gets like something like 6 boosters each.
4, 5 or 6 packs. Yeah, I mean 6 is rare. Yeah, 4 or 5 is normal.
And then like after that, you make a deck, and it creates some really funny stuff of like, oh well, I've chosen loads of fire cards, but in hand I've got right now whilst I'm trying to make my deck, there's a really busted ice card, and if I don't pick this now, someone else might put it in their ice deck. So that's called hate drafting. So drafting can be super fun and casual, plus you can do drafting with a certain set, or if you've literally just got random crap lying around, you can do chaos draft where you just throw random shit together and get it done.
I like to collect my winning packs from events in competitive season and then just use them all in a chaos draft later on.
I love that. And if I ever come into some packs this season, I'm tempted to do similar, because I'd love to do some draft nights like in a pub or something, more of them, because the ones we've done are great and we don't do enough. And if doing a cube is great, as said, but cubing takes so much more effort. I mean, yours did because you made the actual list. Because cube is basically drafting, but it's a custom set of cards. It's not boosters. So Sam's cube, yours is just a Pauper cube, isn't it? It's a commons and rares. So you've got to make it and balance it, which Sam's done all that work.
But that was the hyper focus, and if you've listened to past episodes, you'll know I've thrown many hours into that. But
then above that, the resource of that, if you decide, let's say for example, Sam was happy to share his list or whatever, or you got another cube list because there is an official one from FF.
All-Star cube,
the All-Star cube. If you get all the cards, you've still got to sleeve it, put them in the seeded boosters, or put them in boosters, and basically construct a physical thing that you've got to rebuild every time you get it out. So cubing's a bit more effort, but it is a static thing you can build and keep for a while and dish out and stuff. So it's kind of a pick your poison of buy lots of cards or buy one static thing that won't cost you any more money.
And going back to commons, we had the privilege of having masses of bulk in the Dice Cup. So on one of our learn to plays, the event was build a deck for free. So we just I was going around. It was very overwhelming trying to build 6 decks with different people.
Wasn't it a $5? But basically the $5 entry, the $5 entry, because it was Dice Cup, it's 10p a card out of the bulk. So it's basically you pay a $5 for entry, which is just the deck, because you buy 50 cards at 10p each.
Exactly.
So if you've got enough bulk, or you just buy bulk off someone, buy bulk off of Dice Cup, who then you can run a learn to play event where you build a deck with people and then play with them, you know, and they'll walk away with a deck.
Yeah, and we've got so much bulk in Dice Cup. Too much.
Yeah, so I think I do like basically anything that encourages cheap entry. To answer the question more directly for me, my personal take would be best alternative format or ways to support a casual/competitive group is cheap entry requirement, i.e. use your bulk, try and think what's accessible, and you can repeat it or, you know, build upon it. And that it can be for everyone. So something that's based around your bulk, your commons and your rares. Competitive players can sweat it and try to make busted combos with commons and rare cards, but casual players don't have to pay £1 bajillion for legends. Yeah. And you as a community could even build spare decks and things like that at no cost to yourselves because it's commons and rares.
We even ran a Swiss based on a starter deck product because we had one of the dual decks come out and we were going to pick one of the decks from the product and then we ran a Swiss.
Oh, we should do that with the Cat 7 one when that comes out.
Yeah, we totally could.
Because then everyone will get the new card and we just run a jank Swiss. I want to do that. I think that would be great.
And that was quite fun when we did it. Yeah,
but that's
I remember I was a bit rubbish because other players worked out the meta of those two decks quicker than I did. You know what I mean? But it was a really good event. You know? Yeah.
Oh, that was a cracking question. That's like one of those ones where I think both Sam and I, when we read it before we started podcast, we could both see the hyper focus welling up in us. I want to answer that now. Jesus. It's a really good question, Matt. So
I could talk about that for a long time.
But do reach out to us, chat, because I think I've got you on Facebook, Matt. So feel free to DM me, man. It'll be good to hear from you and just see your reaction to that, and hopefully see you at some events this season as well. It'll be good to catch up. But we've got one more thing to round off. So although Jono isn't with us, we actually did something quite special recently at Dice Cup to help promote the game, and we actually got quite a bit of attention, I suppose. Yeah. But we're going to let Jono talk about that himself. I keep saying from the grave or something, but he's not dead. But he's not here, but we've prepared something beforehand. So we're going to take a listen to Jono just now and then have a little bit of a chat about it.
Hey guys, hope you're all well and enjoying the podcast so far. I'm pretty sure Sam and Phil are doing a bang-up job filling you in with everything that's going on Slice and Dice and what we've all got to look forward to. I'm sure there's many things that they are talking about competitively, possibly. I don't know. We'll see. But whilst they're recording this podcast, I'm probably in Florida, where I'm probably doing all the Disney parks and having a great time in the sun. So I can't be too jealous that they're talking about all the juicy things that's going on. So in the obviously absence of me being there, I thought I might try and record a little something to tell you about the event that we held on the 13th of June, which was a Learn to Play demoing event for any new players that were interested in Final Fantasy TCG. Obviously all got our heads together because the hype of Final Fantasy over the last few months has been immense with the crossover with Magic the Gathering, which I'm sure everyone is aware is kind of taking Magic and all TCG spaces by storm. Final Fantasy being a franchise that's very dear to me, and probably others as well, most likely, I thought, why not monopolize on this? Why not monopolize on this and see if we can not do something on the release day of the set. And so Henry, a lovely guy who is the TO or probably one of the main TOs for Magic the Gathering at the Dice Cup, decided to get in contact with us, or we decided to get in contact with him to collab about maybe doing a Learn to Play at the side of their release draft that they were running. And so we had some tables set aside, and we managed to put out a few play mats to sort of grab attention, set up a good demoing station right next to where they were drafting. And yeah, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed all the setup. But the beautiful thing about it is that we had free product to hand out to any new players or anyone interested in looking in on what FFTCG is about. They basically would walk away with a pre-built deck from the starter decks, Avalanche versus Shinra. So they would learn to play with one of those decks, and if they liked the deck, would be able to walk away with said deck and have something to play with if they want to return. So I thought that it was a brilliant idea from our wonderful community manager. we felt like we were able to start the event running. So all in all, we had about 7 people, 7 brand new people, and then a spattering of obviously experienced players to come and help. So thank you very much for Nate and Alfie and Sparky who came in to assist with the Learn to Play. Their obviously experience was appreciated. So thank you very much to them. And yes, I think because of the success that we had with, people wanting to look in from the Magic the Gathering tables, I think we're probably going to run something like this soon, because the Final Fantasy in Magic probably won't die yet. So we'll monopolize again and see if we can get any more players to sort of turn their heads towards FFTCG. So I think that's enough waffling from me. So I'll pass it back to Sam and Phil, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the episode. Ta-ra!
Oh, that was a nice little flashback from Jono.
That was lovely. Yeah. I really appreciated him stepping in and running that event for us, because I was on holiday at that point, and we really needed to. That was the release day of Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy crossover, so I really appreciate it. We really need to strike while the iron was hot. And yeah, again, shout out to Henry at Dice Cup, the main TO of Magic there. He was very chill about trying to let people know about FFTCG.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of want to reciprocate.
Really appreciate it. Yeah.
I always want to reciprocate and just like play Magic one day. Like, I'm not like into Magic. I have a commander deck, but like I've never played it. It's kind of a group, but But yeah, it's kind of unfathomable for me of like that another TCG is so chill with, hey, we want to kind of take your players, and they're like, seems fine. Like, it's not that.
Magic is a titan though, isn't it? So yeah, they don't really need to be.
Yeah, but Henry's lovely, isn't he? So
he is. Yeah, he's very nice. And I mean, would you want to talk about the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover?
Not really.
No.
It's a
I think from our perspective, it's a very strange feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I guess the thing, so, like, I mean, I've got literally one card on my desk because I bought a play booster from Dice, because I just thought I'll buy one to say I did it. Yeah. But my partner bought an entire box to, like, and I came home and it was just there. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel anything. And I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But all of the stuff that's been going on in like Facebook chats and stuff where like resurgent people who are only actually into Magic, not FF anymore, irk me a bit. But I just didn't feel anything, because like I'm happy that the characters and scenes that I love are on other cardboard, but because my hyperfixation isn't on that game, the Magic, I just didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And also knowing how expensive some of it was to actually put like, if my partner didn't pull any like legends wise from it, or the equivalent legendaries, mythics. I think he pulled a Wandering Chocobo borderless, but it was just the normal one, not like any of the colours or anything. So that was like 30 quid. And he pulled a Buster Sword and one of the characters that isn't expensive.
Yeah.
If I wanted to play a good deck with like Vivi or your Stoller or whatever in it, I'm paying like 70 quid a single or 200 quid a single depending on rarity. Like, it's just, I felt nothing because of that.
Oh yeah, classic Magic there.
And I want to play like, if I want to play Commander, like the Commander decks for Final Fantasy.
That's 70 quid on the RRP.
Well, the bad ones are at RRP, and the good ones are being not scourged but sold over RRP by basically every store ever. So like, I want to play my Final Fantasy 14 because that's my favourite game. That's like 130 quid.
It's outrageous.
Like not RRP, but 130 quid retail.
Yeah.
Like something like that. So I'm just not.
I am very much in terms of the that affecting FFTCG. I am very much in the like crowd of, well, this is just gonna bring a bit more attention to FFTCG.
Yes.
But obviously the fact that it's the best selling Magic the Gathering set yet really points out like how much of an opportunity FFTCG was, and it's hurts a bit to be like, well, here's what might have happened if we'd had a good, more bigger marketing,
Yeah, I suppose you're right, thinking more broadly and avoiding my own personal take. It's like, we've missed that initially, but we are benefiting from it now, because that was the thing. Before it came out, everyone was wondering what it would do. And even at locals the other day, not locals, when we were playing casually on Friday, like practicing for competitive season, there was a pod of, we were playing as a 4 in a corner, so really nobody would see us playing FF. And there was a pod of 4 or 6 people playing Commander next to us, and they leaned over and were like, oh, I like Final Fantasy. Yeah. And they were playing Final Fantasy characters in their Magic decks because I could overhear it.
Yeah.
So even, like, that's the literal thing, isn't it? Yeah. Magic players playing with Final Fantasy characters, and then go, oh shit, there's an FFTCG game, and then
I went and got one of the free dual decks from our event, and
so the opportunity is huge, like you say, and we are now benefiting from it, but it's sad it didn't happen in the past. But I just think it's such a shame that it's suffered from the sort of collector scalping kind of thing, which is just like unfathomable. But I suppose it's more that we're fortunate rather than it's sad, because we're very fortunate, therefore everything is kind of crazy in comparison.
And like, I'm not a fan of Magic's pricing and like the weird overhype sort of materialism vibe personally, but also like the cards from a personal perspective. I love seeing some of the monsters given in the Magic the Gathering style art treatment, and they look great. But then it's also weird seeing like some of the main characters with their faces slightly off, like Uncanny Valley, like Tifa. Like I've seen several like odd westernized Tifas where I'm like, what is happening?
That's it, isn't it? It's the Uncanny Valley that's always got me. And there was the whole, is it AI when that Sephiroth art came out yonks ago. But I don't think, whether it is AI or not, I don't believe it is. It's just uncanny.
Wizards of the Coast are anti-AI, but I think the artist had like used, something and like...
It's a bit like looking at a photo of a model or a family member, and then you give it to an editor and it's just airbrushed to hell, and you're like, that's not me. My skin's not that good,
So that Sephiroth is dodgy, but at least Wizards rejected AI, they corrected that.
But I think it's more that going into the crossover, I was very much a skeptic and a grump, and actually the more it's come out, the more I've been happy that it exists. I don't buy into it. I'm not like buying into it a lot. Like I literally bought this one play booster, but I'm happy. The longer I'm coexisting with it, the happier I am for its existence. Definitely,
absolutely.
So I think it's a good thing, and maybe the Final Fantasy and Wizards will be like, we should do this again, or something, because I haven't reran any of them yet. I don't think any of these are otherworld things, but I think a couple of expert Magic people I know have said never say never, because it's all about rights, and they have considered it with previous ones. But I know we've already had like Avatar: The Last Airbender is the next big one on the horizon that people are losing their shit over. So
and Marvel going in soon as well.
So it will pass, but I'm glad that it's here.
Any more attention to Final Fantasy card games is good attention for FFTCG, right?
Yeah, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're 25 going on 26 sets in, so we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Should we talk about the run-up of what's coming up then? Because we're at the front end of competitive season here, aren't we?
Yeah, sort of round off, I suppose. So we've got competitive season started for us in the UK. We've had like 3 or 4 events, I'm going to say, I guess, stab in the dark.
Yeah.
Materia Cup is coming up for London.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
Are you going to that?
I haven't planned to. I'm very much going to last minute gut react, because I'm not planning to win anything and I go for the entry. But I know there's like
Again, London's a hard place.
But it's less than 20 tickets left already. They put a post out, so I'm almost like, if there are tickets on the day, maybe I'll consider it. But I'm just like...
I'm glad it's selling well, because I think the previous one last season was a bit of a flop. It was 30... I was there, and it was like really weird.
I'm sort of tempted to, just because I would go there and back on the day. I wouldn't even... There's a day 2. I would only do day 1. Because I'd enter the Materia Cup, lose, and go home with my promo. And that's literally what I'm facing is, do I want to spend, let's guess, like 60 quid on train tickets minimum?
That's why I when I looked at competitive season, I was like, I can go Scotland, do that Materia Cup, and I can skip London. As much as I like the London players, I'm friends with some of them, but it's just not worth the money when you've got a lot of opportunities to get a Euros place. If I have to do last chance, so be it. I mean, with 200 Euros places on the line.
We missed Lyndon's question actually. Sorry, Lyndon. Lyndon's probably got this from. What about my question?
We loop back round to it. We still do it.
We can do it as we go. Lyndon's question in short was what do we think about the increase in Euro slots and stuff? I think 200 Euro slots and the more slots being given out via LCQs.
Yeah.
So not LCQs, LQs, local qualifiers. So we'll talk. Lyndon, we'll kind of talk about that in this round off as we go. You'll get the impression of how we feel.
So there was 64 places last set,
something like that,
last season. And if I can jinx myself right now, I was what was I 54th or something? 45th?
Yeah, you were like the high 40s, 50s. So yeah.
So in theory, I shouldn't mind, but in reality, I'm terrified.
Yeah. But it's this oxymoron, isn't it? So I guess that feeling of there being more places available, you feel like you've got better chances because you're saying you'd rather go Scotland and stuff. Because it's this oxymoron for me in my head. Even I'm not going to London because I'll just lose. But I should also, if I want to get better at the game, I've got to go to better places and play better people.
High level practice in, yeah.
So it's kind of like this catch-22 of like, do I just want to spend money to practice the game, inverted commas, and like, you know, have learning experience? Like in layman's terms, that is losing to loads of good people and going home with like 100 quid less in my pocket. So it's kind of like,
that's one of the most expensive ones. I say get those local LQs under your belt, and that's still good practice. You know?
Yeah, so it's sort of like, I'm happy there are more spots available because at least there are more chances. So definitely feel good about it. It shows the game's increasing as well, I suppose, because we've also got to consider the Emirates is an emerging territory. Spain is getting bigger as well. So they've had to give more spots away because the territory for FFTCG is actually increasing quite a lot.
Yeah. And so in regards to comp season, I've got my eye on about 6 LQs.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I'm just trying to travel to the more local ones. Like I'm willing to go to like Harlequins and stuff. That's about as far as I'll.
Yeah, you and I are pretty much the same. I think I've got 7, but it might be 6 as well because my 7th is Dundee. Highlander games.
Wow, you're going to go all the way to Dundee.
Well, it's because it's actually weirdly enough one of the cheaper ones for me to go to because I can travel up to Scotland from where I live, like in a 3-hour train direct. And then I've got friends I can stay with who will then drive to Highlander.
You make it sound pretty cushy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I want to do it, but also it's the week after Materia Cup Scotland. So I will have literally been up there and then I'll go up again just for an LQ. But I think it will depend on how social I'm feeling and if I've got on the promos I want. Because my aim for this season is to get 3 Leos and any number of Thancred. Any number. I would like quite a lot of Lightning and any number of Thancred.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to get the Leos via like entry or lucky small wand. Lightnings are hopefully via hopefully via helping out at events.
Yeah.
And Thancred's like God knows.
Is Thancred you have to win or come second?
I think it's the one that is more out of my ballpark. Essentially, it's like top 4 or whatever. It's the one that because Leo would be top 16 and then it's top 8, then 4, then winner.
Yeah.
So I could potentially get a top 8 in some cursed world where I'm on like my best game ever. I'm pretty much confident I could get a top 16 if there were more than 16 players.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise. So yeah, I think so we've got Materia Cup London coming up soon. Then there's a good cluster of events coming up, sort of like late June through to early August in the Midlands. We've then got some bridging up around like Liverpool, like Manchester, Preston area, going all the way around to like Lincoln, Grantham, and then sort of going around the top of the country and then down like by the east again.
Does it sound like a weather forecast?
and to the east we've got spots of mono wind.
Storms of meta sweats here.
Pretty much.
Casual noobs just coming through nicely for your easy win.
God. Yeah, that did go that way, didn't it? Jesus. Can tell we're tired. But yeah, I think I'm the same. I've got like 7 lined up, probably 6. So I'm definitely going to Preston. Preston's one that I'm playing at. I'm helping out at rugby next weekend.
Yeah.
I'm helping out Materia Cup Scotland. I was planning to help out at Italy, but obviously I'm not doing that now. So Winter Cup doesn't count as comp season, but I'll be there.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm playing at, I think, Pendulum in Grantham. I'll be playing at.
Yep.
That's a relatively new store with a small player base that could use some support. Preston, Harlequin Games. Yeah. Huddersfield is contentious for me because you and I are obviously like going to Preston and Huddersfield is on the way.
Yeah.
So like you could go to Huddersfield, we could drive up to Huddersfield, play, or like I don't know, not try because we'll be tired for Preston, and then go to Preston I don't know. I'm really not in the. But that's the thing at the moment whether I do Huddersfield or not.
My Saturdays are regularly scheduled at work, so I have to book my Saturdays.
Yeah, I'm thinking I probably won't do Huddersfield because it's just like Preston's going to be a weekend.
Yeah, I think we said something like that, didn't we, in the end?
Then we got Boards and Swords in Derby, like you said, be doing that.
Yes, Dice Cup LQ2.
Yeah.
No, I don't want the actual Boards and Swords people to hear that.
Yeah, it's fine. But we basically did say to them, like, where's your link? We want to buy tickets. And the moment the link went up, we put it in our chats and most of like our guys had bought tickets, you know. So basically I think it's the Midland spattering that we care about, isn't it? And we're already practicing. We're having so many extra locals days right now, just like randomly.
Yeah, I think this week I've played I played locals, then I played that extra practice with you, and I played on that locals day. I started at 3 and ended at 11 p.m.
Oh, God.
Like I played a lot of hours on comp FFTCG this week.
So it's a really good comp season for us. Normally, I think we're getting like people like me who have been around for a few years are now starting to do better in comp and be better practice, and we've got a lot of new players who have stepped up really fast. We had Sparky who's moved, so we're getting a lot. I feel like we're getting a bit better at Dice in terms of our locals being stronger because we're getting more strong players than we've had the last few years.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And French is now that French has got a locals, French has got such a better, I'll say better chance, but more chances to play,
more practice
chances, and
you
now
can't
more
win
players
something without practice.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna do just as well, if not better, than we did last comp season.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because now we've got Sparky as well living up our way as well, and you and Sparky were like our 2 Euro placed players. Because that's the thing we've had recently is someone coming in going, I think you guys are all pretty good, aren't you? One of our newer players is kind of like trying to suss out how good everyone is. And it's like, you guys are all right, isn't it? Yeah, we've got 2 Euro players that have like placed that highly, and the rest of us are also pretty good. And it blows their mind whenever we mention it. Like, whoa, the European Championships! Like, yeah, that thing. So
is that? I mean, that's a player who's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
isn't that Dan?
Yeah, Dan.
He's straight on. He can enter competitive pretty soon, you know.
Well, he can enter it. He will be on Dragoons though. Like, it's very much like
at some point he'll move on to a strong.
I've mentioned
he's doing really well though. He beats Mono Earth with it, all kinds of.
Yeah, luckily that game he didn't beat me. Jesus Christ! But it is. I've said this in conversations though with friends like. Aggro is a drug, and Dragoons is a variation of that drug. And the moment you come off of it, the world is very different. So we'll wait to see if whenever they come off of Dragoons, whether they're still enjoying the game. I suppose. But it's been a good time. So hopefully we'll see a lot of people at competitive season. There's plenty of events. Let us know what events you're going to. If we're going to miss you, tell us where you are so we know where maybe we should go.
I see lots of lovely people at Materia Cup Scotland.
Definitely,
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be my like gem of the season before Euros, you know.
Yes, yeah, and we need to look at accommodation for that. I know there's quite a few people looking to book things, and there seems to be a couple of good hostels where you can actually book a whole room to yourself in a hostel. So that's the cheat. I would say for people looking, although I'm giving away my own spice, try to look at hostels and see if you can get enough people to share a bookable room in a hostel rather than sharing with randos.
I've shared a randos with the hostel room, and I do not recommend it.
I did that for last year's Euros. I shared a room with 6 people, and for the entire weekend of Euros, I think it was Friday checkout, Sunday, we paid 70 quid a head.
And you probably won't get a rat in Glasgow like you will in London.
The rat room. We've already told that story, and I'm not going to recount it. Oh my god, the rat room. You never know. We won't get like the Scots equivalent of like a rat in the room. You know? But
a rat with an iron brew in its little paw.
Yeah. But I think Sam and I have done pretty well. We thought this was going to be a short one, but we've pretty much gone normal podcast length.
Yeah. So we can natter, we can chat.
We can, yeah.
We don't need Jono to be able to yap.
But I think we're itching for a game too. Sam and I had a game before this.
Yeah, you keep slapping my firewater monsters with Warriors.
See, I wasn't going to say the deck, and now I'm like giving the spice away. You give me your.
I don't. I'm not looking to surprise people. I'm just looking to like have worked it out better than them and just beat them because of that.
Well, I suppose Axstar is a drug, to use my own phrase.
Yeah. Jinxing myself more, by the way.
But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. We've had a lovely long podcast. Sam and I are going to maybe jam another game after this, and we will catch you all another time.
And thanks for joining us, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.